This is the BGG Climbers list for the week ending 7/21/2021. This list is put together every week by Michael Alexander. I'll include links in the description below to the list. And let's get started. This week has some interesting changes. We'll start with the sub 10 games. One is Lost Ruins of Arnac. This has finally reached place 60 on the list and is still climbing. It's a contender for the Kennerspiel. I think it's going to be announced pretty soon if it hasn't already on which game won. We also have Comet Blood and Sand, which is version 2.0 of Comet. The ratings are coming down a little bit lower, but I still think this is definitely going to, or will eventually hit the top 100. It is it's like a second version of a great game and some minor improvements. Ankh is starting to show up. I don't think it's been shipped yet, but maybe people are starting to receive it. And let's see what other one. Destinies we've kind of been watching. This one's continuing to do really well, and I think it's probably going to hit the top 100 at some point. Seven Wonders Duel, interestingly, climbed from 17 to 16. Possibly, I mean, it is an amazing game. Possibly a year of playing, a lot of two-player games. Push it up a little bit. It has been getting a good number of ratings. Oath is doing well. It's landing about where I expected in terms of ratings, and it had the Shut Up and Sit Down review recently, so that has probably propelled it a little bit higher. And number 10 is Cascadia. So this is an interesting game. I think it was a Kickstarter, if I remember right. Yeah, Kickstarter. And it's a puzzly tile-laying game with some drafting, a hexagon grid, pattern building. And it is Beth Sobel. I seem to remember that artist's name. Let's take a look at the chips. It looks kind of abstract, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I think the artwork looks good. Again, there's been a lot of nature-themed games. I feel like ever since Wingspan came out, there's been more nature-themed games coming out. And it looks good. I don't think the game is heavy enough to do really well, and it's kind of starting off at a lower rating. Although the recent ones, I don't know if people have started to receive them, have been doing pretty well. So maybe it'll climb as people get their copies. I think it's got a good look to it. I don't know if it's going to come on retail, which is actually a big predictor if it's going to continue to climb. So let's take a look, keep an eye on this game and see how it's doing in the future. So that's number 10, Cascadia. Number 9, Mind MGMT, the Psychic Espionage game. So this is interesting. I've never heard of this game. The last one I think I saw on Kickstarter a while ago. I don't know if this is on Kickstarter right now. Kickstarter, crowdfunding. It looks like it's going to be coming to miniature market. It is a 3.0 complexity game, which is pretty good for BGG to have a chance at growing substantially. It's a comic book game, a deduction game, which there have been some really good deduction games in the past. And it's got variable player powers. I wonder if it's a one versus many. People say it's best with 2 players, so maybe it's kind of a competitive deduction game that works well with 2 players. I think the artwork looks pretty unique. Oh, it's from the comic book and the book series of the Mind MGMT. That's where this comes from, so that makes sense. I guess I'm not familiar with that. So I'm interested to see how this one does. I think one versus many. So I think given that it's a one versus many game, it may not have a chance at getting the top 100, just because there's very few one versus many games. Like Fury of Dracula did it. I think maybe there's another game that's one versus many in the top 100, but it's very rare to have that type of mechanic. I am intrigued though by the game, and I like the artwork, so I want to keep an eye on this one and see how it does. It's just starting out in the ratings. I don't know if it must have been off Kickstarter for a while, and people must be starting to get their copies, it seems like. So that's number 9, Mind MGMT. Number 8 is Summer Camp. So this is the latest game from Phil Walker Harding. It's not doing as well as some of his previous games like Sushi Go, but it is a really, I think, interesting game from the stance that it takes a theme, summer camping, that works well with families and stuff, and puts a family game around it. I think it looks good. It's not amazing artwork, but I think it works for the game, and it looks kind of reminds you of summer camp. And it's a fairly light game, not his lightest game, but fairly light. So I think this one will be probably something that does okay, and I don't think we're going to see this in the top 100, probably even the top 250. So that's summer camp. Number 7 is Coffee Traders. So this is the most recent game from Rolf Sigel and Andri Spiel. Now, the interesting thing here is he did Wildcatters. So I haven't actually played Wildcatters. One of my friends got it, and we still haven't played it yet. But it is a fairly complex game. This is I would say a very complex game, being above 4. And it's obviously about trading coffee. And it includes a lot of ideas, I guess, from Wildcatters, maybe more refined and a little bit more complex. Now, this one thing I've noticed is this board game looks like there's a lot of stuff going on. There's like these tables on your board. There's stuff to take off your mat. There's like a bunch. Looks like an area control game going on here. Maybe some trading, kind of like what's that game? Plans of Caledonia, like a trading board. I mean, there looks to be a lot of stuff going on in this game, and that's probably why it's so complex. I do think the artwork works with the theme, and I like how the colors. I like the color scheme that's been put together for this. I think it looks really good from that perspective. These are pretty cool, these coffee beans. I don't know if it's like a deluxe edition or what. I'm interested in trying it out. I don't know if a game this heavy can get in the top 100. There are a few on there like Lisboa and On Mars, but they typically, again, come from one designer. I'm interested to see if this does better than Wildcatters and how it does in the next few weeks. So that is Coffee Traders, number 7. Number 6 is Brew. So this is the most recent game, or one of the most recent games from Pandasaurus Games. Designer Stevo Torres, who did Bloom, and what else did he do here? Yeah, I guess just Bloom, or he's going to be doing Bloom and Brew. Looks like Bloom is not doing as good as Brew. Now, Brew has looked like an interesting game from a art standpoint, and even maybe from a gameplay standpoint. They had these cool custom dice. The artwork, I think, looks really cool on this game. The artist did a really neat job, kind of, I feel like, mixing a like computer video game-ish art into a board game that works with dice and stuff. I just think it looks really good, and I think that's going to attract a lot of people, especially if it ends up in. I know Pandasaurus Games has put stuff into Target before with Machikoro. I'm wondering if this is kind of targeted at that audience. As far as the gameplay, it's got some dice rolling. I watched some reviews. Oh, and one other interesting point is the price point is fairly low on this game, I think, especially given the artwork on it and custom dice and all this stuff. Like, I think Machikoro just used some regular dice on it. Now, one thing with this is it's got I think a little bit of take that and a little bit of you have to do mean things to win, and that may not jibe with everyone. And I know some of the reviews pointed that out. Some reviewers liked it more than others, I think, based purely on that. The other thing they mentioned that I remember is I think most people thought there was a fairly obvious thing to do each turn, which makes the game maybe a little bit less interesting. So Brew is, I think, doing well, but maybe not doing as well as I thought given its artwork. But only 105 ratings, so we'll keep an eye on this one and see how it does. Number 6, Brew. Number 5 is Dune Imperium. This thing keeps moving up the list fast. It's got, it's already at number 42. It's got 7,000 ratings. It's going to continue to climb. The deluxe edition upgrade kit's coming out. It's going to climb more. I think one of the biggest detractions from this is the look of the game, which the deluxe kit fixes. And I think they recently announced an expansion to it, which is going to give it even more legs, probably. So I don't see how this doesn't hit the top 25. I don't know if it's going to get the top 10. It's already down to 8.35 average. So the top 10 may be tough with that average rating at this point. But let's see. So that's Dune Imperium, number 5. Number 4 is Imperium Legends. This game has actually been picking up. The ratings have been getting better over time, possibly as more people play it. Or one thing I've noticed is Imperium Legends seems to be getting a little bit higher ratings in general than Imperium Classics. And maybe the reviews are a little bit better for this one. I don't know. I actually only saw reviews for Imperium Classics, if I remember right. So this is a card civilization game from 2 designers. One is David Zerke, and so he's a very prominent, heavy board game designer. The only real negative I heard about this game is the setup time can be a little bit, setup and takedown time can be a little bit high for what it is. But I like the artwork. I like the fact that it comes in a fairly small package that you can mix and match different things and have a different experience. So I may end up trying it out at some point. So this is number 4, Imperium Legends. Number 3 is diceminer. So this was a Kickstarter from maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. I actually considered it. I liked the idea, but then I also thought that like dice-based games, I rarely ever end up playing just because of the random nature of it. I usually end up trading them away. So I passed on this. It has this really cool like diceminer tray that they built for it. And it's a dice drafting and rolling game. And I think it did well in Kickstarter. It is, I don't know if it's going to go to retail, but it's been getting okay reviews. And I think these reviews are a little bit better than some of the professional reviewers. So I'm interested to see how it does as more people get their hands on it. But I don't think this is going to be in the top 100 at this point. So that is number 3, diceminer. Number 2 is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. So we've seen this for a number of weeks. Actually, the rating has climbed a little bit as the target controversy has worn off a little. But it is trending lower than Terraforming Mars as expected. I mean, Terraforming Mars, I think, is maybe it's top 5 already. I think it is, top 5 game. And this one doesn't, I don't think it's going to hit there. It probably isn't going to hit top 100, just kind of where it's landing already. But I think it's definitely not a bad game. It's just probably not as good as Terraforming Mars. Now, what I do think is there's probably something coming out for Terraforming Mars at some point from Stronghold Games. If I was guess, it's possibly a deluxe edition, but we'll see. I do think if they did an updated graphics design and artwork, people would really jump on that just because of how popular and how good Terraforming Mars was. And maybe even just rebalancing a little bit of stuff or changing a little bit of the cards or having a mode without the kind of take that aspect. I think that would be good. I mean, I know you can just remove the take that cards from the game, or you can play with some house rules on them, which we have in the past. But I think that having an optional mode that kind of balances that would be nice. So that is number 2, Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. And number 1 is Imperium Classics. Now, if you notice, the rating on Imperium Classics is lower than Imperium Legends. Now, I don't know if that's just, I mean, it's the same game essentially with different civilizations. Imperium Legends is a fantastical or a mythical civilization, and the Imperium Classics is the historical. And I'm not sure if that is the bearing on it, or maybe Imperium Legends is just a better game. It's hard to say. But this one's doing pretty well. I don't think this is going to end up in the top 100 just because of where it's landing already. It's already below 8 for an average, which is going to make it tough to get in the top 100 when it's only at 2,100. So if I was to predict, I think this is going to hit at least the top 500, probably the top 250, but we'll see if it depending upon what happens in the next few weeks. So there you have it. That is the BGG Climbers for the week ending 7/21/2021. If you like this video, please like and please subscribe. And please take a look at our other videos. Thank you.